3, 2.
Okay, so who hasn't seen a video out there of protesters stopping everybody on the freeway because they have something very important to share with you? All right. Now, I'm not talking about when you're coming across the border from Tijuana or from Mexico and, they're stopping you to sell you something. No. I'm talking about here in the U.S. in the middle of the highway, right? A few punks decide that they not only are made out of rubber, right? And they can take a 60-mile-an-hour vehicle heading towards them. But once they get the vehicle stopped, right, they decide to stop everyone. Sometimes not only for 10, 20, 30 minutes, even an hour. No, sometimes for the rest of the day, right? If they feel that the only way that supposedly they'll be heard is if they get you to stop in the middle of the freeway. Yeah, sure. That's not going to piss you off, right? That's not going to want to make you just press on that freaking gas pedal, deeper and, as fast as you can. Now, am I saying here that, whatever they're protesting sometimes it's not important? No. Sometimes I believe that there's things that should be protested, and I'm all for that, right? But getting, with your posse, taking your posse to the middle of the freaking highway to stop the entire, flow of traffic is unacceptable. All right. Not only is it dangerous, obviously, but we're talking about stopping countless individuals that have to go somewhere. Right? Some maybe don't need to be out. Some are just taking a road trip, but that's not everybody. Many people need to get to work. Many people need to go either drop off their kids or pick them up from school. Many people are actually heading literally towards a hospital because of an emergency. But of course, these protesters, it's all the same to them, right? If they want to and they deem it acceptable, you have to stop. And it's not a 20-minute thing. Sometimes it could be hours upon hours, right? Now, let me show everybody quickly here. Something that is coming, I think, to many states. Texas being one of many. In this article here, you guys can see the headline, Texas aims to crack down on protesters who block traffic. Quote, that chaos won't be tolerated. Republican Governor Greg Abbott pledged to sign a bill that passed through the Republican-controlled legislature. So in the article, and by the way, I have a quick video to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about in case for some of you guys, for some reason, have actually never seen a highway stop in protest. I'm going to show you that. So before we go to that, the article here goes on to say that a bill that would increase penalties for protesters blocking roads and obstructing emergency vehicles is on the way to Texas Governor Greg Abbott's desk. And the two-term GOP governor who's running for re-election next year says he'll sign the measure into law. He said in a tweet recently, legislation cracking down on protesters for blocking roads passes in the Senate. Peaceful protesters doesn't include blocking roadways. That is very true. All right. Peaceful protest does not include you just deciding to take your 20, 30, 50, 60, 100 protesters and just block the highway and preventing emergency vehicle access. That chaos won't be tolerated in Texas. Amen to that. I'm sorry, but amen to that. And by the way, Texas is not the only state. In fact, I want to say it was Oklahoma and I believe Florida that already passed similar measures, and they took it a little further in saying that if, unfortunately, somebody runs over one of these protesters, they necessarily won't be facing charges, like legal charges. Now, there is a happy medium, as I've said, with many things. I am very much a guy in the middle of many arguments because I believe that usually if you start leaning to any one side, you end up becoming an extremist. Eventually, you start leaning towards the left, you start leaning towards the right. And I'm not necessarily talking about a political point of view. I'm just saying of any issue, right? Or if you want to say leaning towards a yes, leaning towards a no, however you want to arrange those terms. My point is that eventually you end up really pushing to an extreme. All right. Do I believe that you should have a free pass on running over people? No, I don't believe that. I don't believe that you see protesters, you're like, all right, so governor or whatever, wherever you live, right, said that I can just, pedal to the metal and just run over, 4, 5, 6, 7, 30 protesters. No, I don't believe that either. Okay. But do I believe that protesters should have the quote right to just block highways? Hell no. Right now, check this video out. All right. This is exactly what we're talking about. Now, this comes out of TikTok. This is someone recording being stopped in the middle of the highway by protesters. I don't even know really what that sign says. You guys want to make it out? Go ahead. I don't even know what they were protesting this time. I can't keep up anymore. But you can see, by the way, I want you guys to keep an eye, all right, on some people that are already outside of their vehicles, which is another problem, right? Put aside the fact that people can get run over. You know what another problem is? Random fights in the middle of the freeway. Now, the other side might not be completely closed down. They might still be heading 60 miles an hour plus. They see a fight, and what do people do when they drive? I hate that they do this, but what do? Like, oh, what is that? Boom, they crash on the other side. So now you have multiple issues, all right? So check this video out. There's not much audio. The guy's recording from inside his vehicle. So all the faraway noise you hear is just people yelling, right? So here we have this lunatic dancing, spinning on the highway with signs. You have a guy there in the white that's approaching them, going to talk to them, right? Possibly telling them to get the hell out. And then you have this other guy who looks a little bit more pissed off, the guy with the red hat.
You better
right?
get out of my motherfucking way.
So the guy at the end said, you got to get out my mother effing way. Because people, again, feel that they need to be somewhere. It really is none of our business, right, Josh? I mean, if someone says, oh, all these people only want to go and probably go to the mall, it's really none of our business.
That's true. I mean, the thing I could say is if the thing that you believe in is more important than your life, then I think you need to have a reassessment of what's really important in life, first of all. I mean, it looked like it said stop corporate sponsorship of the police.
Is that what it said?
Or something like that. I think it said something along the lines of that. So whether it's actually something to do with BLM, I don't know. Who knows?
What does it say?
It could be anything. It looks like it does say stop corporate sponsorship.
Corporate sponsor, right? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, I mean, it was pretty much that, really. You should. Well, as it's not only just inconveniencing other people, it's something that could actually cause, like you said, a pretty dangerous accident, and kill innocent people, pretty much. Like we saw in Texas with the bad weather. Remember that 18-wheeler?
Oh, yeah. I remember that one. Yeah, you're right. Now, that one wasn't even a protest. That one was just, the snow or whatever it was, the ice.
Weather.
Yeah, the weather.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, you're right about that one. By the way, everybody, if anybody's wondering, I know there's one person out there at least wondering. They DM me. Side note, JT, how come Josh was in your last video? Did he quit? No, he didn't quit. I didn't fire him. Josh had a private, thing that happened that he needed to attend to, and I wanted to do a show. I didn't want to skip it. There was some good news that day, so that's all it was, everybody. I know there's probably one person out there for sure because they DM me. Everyone else, now you know. But yeah, Josh is back. Yeah.
Well, here I am, that one person. So not to worry. Here I am.
You heard it, Mom? Oh, I gave her up. All right. So with that, let's move on to the next segment. So for the first one, remember, guys, if you're going to go out there protesting and all of a sudden people start heading towards an entrance or an exit of a freeway, please stay away. Continue your protest, maybe over the usually have those whatever bridges over the freeway. Protest there, right? For vehicles as they're passing by to see your sign, I guess. But please don't enter a freeway. All right, don't put yourself in danger because, hot hit moment or something like that. But all right. So with that, let's move on to the next thing. But before we move on, please make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification. It's really helping us. We are making really good movements here on YouTube. And by the way, thanks to our YouTube family out there that is helping us grow. And they go there, they come by over here and watch. Thank you guys for doing that. All right, so let's move on to the next segment. And for that next segment, we're going to go to this first article. We're going to talk about teachers, education, which is a topic that I'm very passionate about. I've spoken about teachers multiple times on the show for good and bad reasons. Okay. I've spoken about teachers that unfortunately have to take a lot of crap from your little angels, from your bendiciones, that are basically a nightmare for them, right? There's that one episode I did sometime last year where I showed multiple clips that was trending at the time because, as you guys remember, many kids, all of a sudden were like, whoa, we get to do school from home? We've never done this. And guess what? Just like children do, they decide to run amok, right? And teachers, a lot of them, by the way, older, didn't know how to use technology to the level that they needed to do distance learning. And, Zoom calls were getting hijacked. It was a mess. You guys can check that video out. Then recently we talked about woke teachers and literally telling students that they had everything because they were a certain race, which it wouldn't be accepted with any teacher telling that to any student about any race. Right? Yet again, we have teachers, unions, and education, according to this article, pushing woke leftist policies in schools across the U.S. So like always, I brought the receipts. I have some videos that I want to show you guys, but let me read a little bit of this article. So many teachers and teacher unions in recent years have pushed left-leaning policies both in schools and in public sphere. Sorry, a phenomenon that has been highly highlighted as a more intense focus on schools, unions, and amid the coronavirus pandemic and battles over how to teach about race in schools. Okay, so I left this very clear last time. I don't believe in critical race theory. If anybody does, and that's going to piss you off or set you off, I mean, we might as well get to know each other well right now, or you're welcome to just step away from this if you do believe that strongly about critical race theory taught in schools. If you in the privacy of your home, and this is my belief, you want to teach your child about critical race theory, and you want to teach your child for some reason that a certain race, because they are a certain race, are above you or below you, then that is just the POS person you are. All right? I do believe strongly that there is no superior race. I do. All right? What you tell yourself to help you sleep at night and to help you back your racist agenda doesn't mean that it's real. There is no superior race, right? Something as old as the Olympics can prove that, when it comes to sports at least, right? For hundreds of years. There hasn't been only white Olympians that have won gold medals. So that's just one small thing that I can tell you right away to prove that there is no superior race. But again, in schools, for some reason, they believe we need to teach about critical race theory. Now, this video here, all right, done by Jeremy from the Quartering, did a great job. And I'm going to have you guys watch the first minute or so, all right? Because this is an educator in school. I believe she's a child psychologist. And just hear what she let out in a Zoom meeting, all right, that leaked out.
First question when I walk up there is, okay, raise your hand if you're right, and raise your hand if you're not. And then I talk about how every single person in that room, no one's raised their hand that they're racist, and they're all telling the truth. But also by the end of this, lecture and discussion, you'll understand that you're telling the truth and you're also lying at the same time. And that's because we have implicit biases. So you can't tell me that you're not racist.
Now he goes on to, play with the video and add a Hitler thing in the background. But, we don't need to get into that. What I wanted you guys to hear really was that last part, right? Is she right? Do we all have implicit biases? Sure. Yeah. I think the vast majority of people have some biases that they grew up with, right? But it doesn't mean, right, that they either act on those biases negatively towards people, right? Actively act, no matter what you think of another race, well, no matter what biases she says you have. It doesn't mean that you act on them, right? And again, you come out openly as a bigot or a racist, but it doesn't also mean, as she said very incorrectly, that, at the end of this call, or whatever she said, right, lecture, you're going to discover that even if you say you're not racist, you are racist. Jesus Christ, man. And of course, this was being taught. You know to who? Ding, 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 ding. You guessed it. To a white audience, right? Because she's really trying to force down their throat that even if they, you are white and you have, a very diverse background, a very diverse family, in fact, and you can prove time and time and again in all which ways that you have zero bigoted, feelings towards any race. Nope. Sorry, Mary Lou. Sorry, Derek or whatever name you have. You're white. You're racist, period. As you just heard her say that. Now, the dangerous thing about this, by the way, is that this is being taught in schools. As you heard, right, Josh, from that teacher?
Yeah.
What do you mean, blah, blah, blah? I don't remember what the kid's name was. You have everything. You're literally yelling at him because he's white and he has everything.
Mm-hmm. It's quite sad, really, because it's something like critical race theory, which is going to have the complete opposite effect of what it was intended to do. I think what people intended to do is make it or really highlight the differences. It's pretty much that's what it's doing. It's highlighting differences between races, and it's essentially racist when it was something that was not trying to be racist when it started. It was trying to say, hey, that people are other races and that's okay. But now, because of the way things are with everyone being so woke and all that, well, if you're white, then you're damned.
Yeah. It's honestly, dude, it's disgusting. It's ridiculous. I've said it before on the show. I'll keep saying it. Quite frankly, I think it's just despicable to see that many big institutions like schools, right? Mm-hmm. And then even government managed departments, as we will see in a minute, are so woke that they're trying to do anything to make sure that they don't come across as somehow white supremacists or something like that, right? And that means being everything but white. Trying to push the agenda that if you're white, you're not right. And it's disgusting. It's disgusting. I am a defender of anybody. I don't give a F about your background. When it comes to your culture, when it comes to your skin, if you are not doing anything bigoted or racist, and someone is doing something against you, I'm gonna stand on this show and defend you, right? Mm-hmm. And right now, what is happening in the media mainly, and in many companies, is try to make the white individual look as violent or as criminal, or they're hateful just because they were born that way. And it is disgusting. It's disgusting that you can say, dude, I'm married to someone that's not white, an Asian person, a Mexican, or whatever, right? My kids are biracial. I live in a biracial community. Oh, it doesn't matter. Sorry, Bob. Doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. But you're fair skin. So you know what? Probably racist. What the F? What is wrong with you? Now, racial issues are not the only problem that our schools are facing. Our schools are going so woke, ladies and gentlemen, that as you can see in this article, I'm going to try to PG some words here, but if you can read, you read. Columbia prep students and parents reel after class on corn literacy. You can replace that C with the P, and you know what I mean, for those of you listening on the podcast. All right? Oh, you know what? I'm not going to monetize this. I'm not even going to monetize this freaking video. On porn literacy. There, I said it. Parents, according to the article, parents at a posh Columbia grammar and preparatory school are outraged. They were never told of the fourth R being added to the curriculum. I get it. That's a play on words. Raunch. In addition to the usual reading, the riddling and what the hell is that? Arithmetic. Yeah. What the hell? Whatever. The school this month launched lessons on porn without informing families or allowing them to opt out. Parents fumed. Of course they will. Fumed. Now, you guys can read the whole article, but I'm going to jump down to what, believe it or not, they're actually teaching. Okay? So according to this, the professor was Fontes, right? Fonte. So Fonte's presentation, some of which was seen by the Post, meaning the New York Post, included a list of the most searched pornographic terms of 2019, including cream pie, anal, gangbang, stepmom, and more. This is part of his slide, right, that he's teaching kids. I want you to understand that this is not a college course. I want everybody to understand that. This is not a university course where this is what you're majoring in, right? One slide cited various porn genres such as, this is disgusting, incest-themed, consensual or, quote, vanilla, barely legal, and kink and BDSM, which include waterboarding, electro torch. Jesus Christ, I can't even. Wow.
Yeah. So that happened. Wow.
Can you imagine, dude? I know you say you've told the audience that you don't have kids, but just imagine, man, you do. And your kid comes home, right? Mm-hmm. You're paying tuition, according to this article, $47,000 a year. So it's not cheap. It's not free. And without even you knowing about it or you having the ability to opt out, your kid's like, Daddy Josh, right? What is? Pick one of those terms.
I really hope that teacher got fired for pretty much abusing kids. That's what the guy's done. These are illicit materials he's been showing kids. We got to have something has got to be said about that. What the hell was he thinking when he thought like, oh yeah, let's tick that off the box. Yeah, that's cream pie done for the cement. What moment did you think that was right or normal? That is absolute. And plus, there's all these people that say like, porn, it's liberating. People want to do it. It's not that. Not everybody wants to do pornography, and it's a very difficult industry that should not be normalized, quite honestly.
Yeah. Listen, I'm okay when I've seen documentaries on Netflix, right? They're not on my kids' side of Netflix, by the way. Those of you guys that don't know, you can have a kid side of Netflix just for your kids. It'll ask you what their age range is. And granted, there's been some controversies of controversial shows that have come out up there. But, but for the most part, it's pretty clean. Now, on my side of Netflix, I'm really big on documentaries. So I'll get just a slew of options, right? Like, hey, documentaries about war, documentaries about food, anything, travel. But I've also seen documentaries about the porn industry, okay? Sex workers and stuff like that. Very interesting to see everything from like, they go as far as back as like, hey, way back in the day, what prostitution was, right? Where this industry started, why did it start? Like just a whole bunch of in-depth information. I'm a grown-up, all right? I'm choosing to interact with this content, right? On Netflix. So if I get served more documentaries of such nature, hey, pues, just kind of like ads. Kind of like tú te lo buscaste, right? This is because of you, right? But it doesn't mean that I'm going to call my children and be like, hey, kiddo, come here. Grab a seat. We are going to have popcorn night tonight, and we're going to learn about the beginnings of prostitution. Jesus Christ. So if I wouldn't do that at home with my children, why in the F would anybody think that I would want you to do that in school? Right? Without telling me. Right? It is my job. Now, I take my job as a parent very serious. Right? I don't need anybody to do it for me other than my wife. I don't need anybody to volunteer to talk with my children about anything. Right? Now, if some teachers out there will defend and say, well, there's a lot of kids that come to school with a lot of questions. It doesn't look like they get much attention at home. I'm with you. And I would say those are I don't know, far and few in between. Or at least I want to believe that, right? They're outliers. But I think the vast majority of parents do their job, right? Or they try to at least. And when they need help, they'll seek out the help. Hey, Professor G, how do you think I should talk to my child? Or if it's a teacher in grade school, hey, Mr. K, Mrs. M, how do you think I should approach this topic, right? But for you educators to just take it upon yourself. Just, I'm going to talk to your child about corn, right? You know what I'm getting with this? I don't want to say too much because I don't want YouTube to take down the video. So, we're going to teach today about corn, the corn industry, and everything that goes along with corn. And not to mention, by the way, not just let's talk about corn at a somehow vague position just to tell kids that it is out there. No. Let's go in depth. Let's go into sections, search terms. Let's give these kids ideas. Like many of these kids, by the way, are lacking any creativity. Most of these kids, it's scary that they're very creative when it comes to the internet. Haven't we said this, Josh? They were born with the internet in hand, right?
Exactly.
They don't need help in coming up with search terms, Mr. whatever the teacher, professor name, whatever the hell his name was, right? And I don't need you to give my kids ideas like, that's a thing? Thanks, Professor. I think it was Fazia, whatever. Thanks. I'm going to go Google that. No, take it back. I'm totally not going to Google that right now when I leave this classroom and go to the bathroom. Don't worry, Mr. F. I'm totally not going to Google that. What you just said. Can you write it down for me real quick, though? Because because in my generation, we abbreviate everything. You write the search term down. It's disgusting, man. It's quite frankly, it's disgusting.
Yeah. Well, he's essentially, he could very well have emotionally scarred quite a few kids out there, man.
Yeah,
it's really, I don't know what he did, but
yeah,
it happens.
What were you thinking? Now, this is another thing. I'm sorry, but I want teachers to keep their BS politics away from my children. And this here is another one, right? Another different article, headline: Drag Queens in Training. New York City Department of Education's children's show features 12 minutes of Little Miss Hot Mess, reading and dancing. Now, the article, the highlights of it is that a children's show on PBS featured drag queen and author Little Miss Hot Mess singing, dancing, and reading a book about drag queens to an intended audience of 3 to 8 years old. This is ridiculous. 3 to 8 years old. Some 3-year-olds out there, man, they barely know their colors. They barely know, right, how to spell or read a book. But yet, let's go ahead and teach them about how to be good drag. Another bullet point says that, quote, I think we might have some drag queens in training on our hands, Little Miss Hot Mess said after dancing and singing for the virtual audience. The episode is part of the show, quote, Let's Learn, produced in partnership by the public media company, the WNET Group, and the New York City Department of Education. I mean, no, absolutely not. I'll say it very clearly right now, and I want to make sure I'm very effing clear with anybody about to become a keyword warrior. I support that if a grown individual decides that what they want to do for a living, how they want to live their life is by drag, do you. Do you. I am no one to tell you otherwise, okay? But I will ask that you respect the fact that my child won't be exposed to this until and if the conversation comes up. Right? And I should say if more than anything. Right? If until my child, any of my children become adults. And if until then, right, they have questions about this. I will be the one to talk to them about it. It won't be you. If any of my children decide to grow up and be drag queens when they're adults and they can make such decisions, by all means. It's the same thing with becoming a trans man or trans woman. I have 3 children. Any one of them, they're very young right now, but any one of them can grow up, right? They're 18, 19, 20, 21, whatever. They're grown-ups. And they go, Dad, I feel like I'm in the wrong body. I want to be a trans. I'm going to have conversations with them, but ultimately, if that's what they want to do, who am I to stop a grown adult from doing that? But you're not going to come and talk to my 8-year-old and ask, are you sure you're not like trans? Because the other day we saw you play with a Barbie. You were playing with your sister's Barbie, and hell, weren't you also playing with her tea set? Are you sure you're not? You might not be gay, or for that matter, want to be a woman. Let's get you on some puberty blockers, because you're 8 years old. You're going to be starting puberty soon. Let's get you on those blockers. Absolutely fucking not. Right? And for this to be an education, no, man. Absolutely fucking not. But that's my take.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the whole concept of drag and all that kind of thing. I mean, that you're putting this to people or young children, 3 to 8 years old, who, like you said, can't even, some of them read a book at that stage, asking them to grasp the concept of a grown man that likes to put on clothes, act like a woman, but not think he's a woman. I think you're asking quite a lot.
Yeah.
from our 3 to 8 year olds.
Yeah. 3-year-olds, man. 8-year-olds is still bad, but 3-year-olds? Jesus Christ, man. What is happening? Now, there's a video that I should have downloaded at the time, but I'll download it and put it in post. But essentially, I will say that there's, luckily, drag queens out there, right? And trans individuals that agree with us, that are actually sane and not effed in the head. Mm-hmm. There's one that I'll put in post where there's a trans man who essentially says outright in public while he's being interviewed, keep your children away from this. Right? Like, your children have no business being in my business, basically, right? And his, drag queen, what he was doing. I can applaud that, and I can say thank you, because obviously not everyone in the trans community or in the drag community think that, hey, let's explore 3-year-olds. That's disgusting, right? Which speaks volumes of what's happening in our country. And speaking of what's happening in our country, let's get into the military talk. A little bit into the military, right? We're going to make fun of a video that's been circling on TikTok. I honestly didn't think it was that viral, but I guess it is, right? But before, if you don't mind, leaving a comment down below. Again, hitting that subscribe button. If you can, go as far as joining the community. $5 would go a long way for us, okay, in supporting the show. And as I said it before, anybody that supports the show, I'm actually preparing to put your name, whatever you go by the way, your username, right back there, right? I'm going to make a wall of everybody that supports the show. Your wall is empty, JT. I know that, okay? It is empty for now. All right, let's move on to this article. Viral video compares Russia Army ad versus new woke Biden era U.S. Army ad. So I'm going to show you the ad. I was able to find it on Twitter. It's about 1 minute. And while we don't know what the hell they're saying in Russia, if anybody is Russian and speaks Russian, rather, you can tell us what it means. I have no idea. But here's the ad.
Что ты знаешь о себе? На что ты способен?
I was telling Josh, and he was saying, like, you want to wake up in the dark, carry a cool gun, do push-ups. I don't know what it says. I have no idea. Jump out of a fucking plane. I don't know. Shoot in the snow.
It begins in California with a little girl raised by 2 moms. I also marched for equality. I like to think I've been defending freedom from an early age. To marry my other mom. With such powerful role models, I finished high school at the top of my class. And after meeting with an Army recruiter, I found it. A way to prove my inner strength. I'm U.S. Army Corporal Emma Malone Lord, and I answered my calling.
So no, it was not a preview for the new episode of Disney Channel or of Sophia the First. It was not. I guess some of you guys are still wondering, like, is that Sophia the First new episode trailer?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah, for the guys listening on the podcast, that was a very Disney style, kind of like a cartoon that was the American ad for. Apparently, it was for the U.S. Army. That's what it said. I'm not sure. I think your first answer was better.
Yeah. So listen, and by the way, yeah, you're right. For those of you guys listening, the Russia one was a little bit over the top, manly. Like there's a guy getting his hair cut, waking up in a very dark room, and getting thrown off a plane, landing in snow, shooting a gun. I mean, whatever, right? Very G.I. Joe. Yeah. But definitely not a Sophia the First style, Disney style ad, which I'm going to be honest with you, because I saw a lot of comments from people that were in the military, not vets from Vietnam. They're like, oh, you know, those guys, what do they know, boomers? No. Guys are like, hey, dude, I'm actively in the military, right? There's many comments that are embarrassed. Not only embarrassed, but worried that some of these soft individuals are going to see this Sophia the First trailer ad for joining the army, okay, and think that they're gonna go and they're gonna be able to, you know, talk about their feelings, and it's gonna be a special safe place for them, right? And there's gonna be trees for them to hug. And let me tell you, at least I believe so. Josh, you let me know if you think I'm wrong. That's fine, but I don't want people like that, quote, being ready to defend this country. All right. Not if, but when. Not if, but when. I'll tell you that right now. We are in a conflict with another country because the U.S. is really good at getting into conflicts. I'm sorry. I don't want people. I don't care about your background. I care about, can you protect this country? Right? Do you have, I applaud anybody that is selfless enough to even sign up for the army. Clearly, I am not one of those. I am an asshole that wants to be protected. Right? I'll say that right now. You want to throw all your jabs at me, go ahead. But if it came down to it, I will protect my country if I was called, if I was drafted. Am I going to be happy about it? No, I'm 265 pounds. You know, I'll give you one thing. That Sophia the First ad can definitely, you know, that girl there can definitely do a better job at going up a rope, even if it's in cartoon, because even the cartoon version of me couldn't go up a fucking rope. Okay. And, you know, but I don't want Sophia the First to be protecting me and be panicking out there. I was saying earlier that the comments that I saw were from people that are like, dude, you know, what is Biden doing running these ads? Like, who is he trying to attract? It is not a fun place. It is not, being in the military is not a getaway. It's not a vacation getaway, right? It's not, you're not signing up for a timeshare. It's a lifeline commitment that has the potential, by the way, of you having to lay your life on the line, right? And it shouldn't be painted otherwise. That movies throughout probably the last 20 years have been constantly trashed because they are portraying the army as being this cool environment, or even if not the army, period, the military, of like fun and games, and it's not true. It's not true. It has a lot of problems. The military in and of itself has a lot of problems, right? That it has to deal with. I talk here, right, about a soldier that was murdered by another soldier. So it has a lot of problems. Okay? It's not a place for you to pretend that you're going to fix it with a Disney style ad and attract people. I don't care that she had two mothers. Good for you. How the hell does that matter in how you're going to protect this country? I mean,
well, exactly. I mean, it's the thing that's really quite sinister about it is it's really trying to get people who are, I guess, a little bit to think like, hey, the army is not a bad option and something like that. But in the end, you're being asked by your country to actually take the life of another person in protection of your country. You know, that's something that a little cartoon is not able to sum up. You know? Yeah.
You're not trying to attract, you know, kids to join the Boys and Girls Club. That ad belongs for a company, right? that is trying to attract kids to join the Boys and Girls Club. It's fun. Come over. You'll make friends. You know, look, it's easy to climb up a rope. We totally care about your background. You know, and we totally want to know that if you're cool, like this chick right here who had 2 moms, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you grew up with 2 parents that are the same sex. It doesn't effing matter. It shouldn't matter. I'll leave it here one more time. What matters is if you have it in you to give what the military requires from you. Now, I've never been in the military. I went as far as having a junior boot camp when I was still in high school, and it scared the living crap out of me. Okay. I'm also not a good listener, like many teachers told me over the years in school. You know, don't play with your gum. Don't play with the chair. And I'm that guy. So I wasn't probably going to make a good soldier, but I've been privileged and lucky enough to have met great Army men and great Marine men and women, right? That have shared stories with me, and I'll never stop applauding them. Are there some bad eggs? Yes, of course. We've all heard their stories. Let's get past that. Those are not the vast majority. The vast majority, I salute, because the vast majority truly go in there knowing that they can, like you said, either lose their life or have to take someone's life. And let me tell you, it's easier said than done. And I've been told those exact words, right? Just because you have a gun doesn't mean that you're prepared to do shit with it. Trust me on it. I own multiple of them. Okay. And I would call the cops before I took my gun out and had to shoot someone. But okay. Let's move on to the reason, right? Why, if not directly Biden, but his administration is coming up with these great ideas to I don't know, appeal to a new generation. In my opinion, nothing is an absolute, right? But I think many people feel like Demi Lovato over here. For the last segment here, we'll close out the segment with weak-ass influencers. This individual right here, I don't care how good her vocals are. I don't care what TV shows she came out on when she was a kid, Barney, I think it was, are a problem, because these are the individuals, all right, out there influencing the up and coming generation, the leaders of tomorrow, that can take things, as you guys probably, if you haven't heard, by the way, I'll tell you right now, but probably have heard already, of her breakdowns over a yogurt shop, literally arguing with them on social media, right? Putting down a mom and pop shop because as she was checking out, she was so triggered because they were diet, I think it was diet or low sugar alternative candies and stuff like that. Like any store that you have ever probably visited that they want to have you take that last, grab and go, right? Because it's how a business is ran. So triggered. And she went on, like, this whole thing was like a 2-week news. I didn't even cover it because I was honestly annoyed by it. It was stupid. It was like, whatever, man, Demi Lovato fighting with a yogurt shop. But then, what is it, about 3 weeks ago? Like anybody would effing care. I also didn't cover it because that's how much I didn't care to cover it on my show. She came out as non-binary, and it's like, please celebrate me. Clap for me. I need your attention. Clap for me. I'm non-binary. I'm a they, them. Okay, Demi, I get that you want to be called a, you're not a she anymore. But let me tell you, okay? Now, Demi Lovato, it wasn't enough. Now she's triggered because, quote, people complimenting others on their body. Now, of course, as Demi Lovato, like I said earlier, speak for the entire generation that she comes from, or even generations, newer generations. No, of course not. I understand that there's a lot of very smart young individuals that are disgusted, as disgusted I am by this. But the saddest part is that that's not the vast majority. I wish it was. I wish the vast majority didn't follow Demi Lovato. And it's not true, because obviously if what I'm saying is true, she wouldn't have a platform. But she has such a massive platforms, I should say platforms, many platforms, where she's just spewing these stupid ideas, feelings. So in the article, it says singer and LGBT activist Demi Lovato said Sunday in an Instagram post that complimenting someone on their body is, quote, harmful, even if you have the best intentions. Hey, Josh, I like your hair, man. I don't know, man, makes you look radiant. You triggered by that, Josh? Still triggered?
Dude, I gotta go.
You gotta go? Fucking triggered.
I can't do this anymore.
That's it, dude. Honestly, I wouldn't know why you would not quit. So here's the post, by the way. Okay, the actual screenshot. Because she's really good at deleting stuff later. IDK, right? Which is, I don't know. So what that stand for. IDK, who needs to hear this, but complimenting someone on their weight loss can be as harmful as complimenting someone on their weight gain in regards to talking to someone in recovery from an eating disorder. Demi Lovato, not everyone is going or has gone through a effing eating disorder. Just because you can accept yourself as a fat woman doesn't mean that other fat women, despite what Joe Rogan says, don't accept themselves. Now, should people be healthy? Yes. Right? Should JT be skinnier? Probably, according to my doctor and Joe Rogan and all those health nuts out there. Does JT care that he's not freaking healthy? Absolutely fucking not. Like, I'm good, dude. Like, I'm good. I'm good where I'm at, But according to her, somehow in her world, people that have gone through eating disorders, it's totally triggering. How dare you speak for everyone? Some people actually have an eating disorder because they've never been complimented, right? Mm-hmm. Or because they grew up only with bad compliments. So maybe hearing a good compliment might not be that bad of a thing. It might not be death ending. Right? She goes on to say, if you don't know someone's history with food, other than your doctor, I don't know who the hell would. Or maybe your spouse, maybe. I don't know what world she lives in, right? Because she's treated with assistants, right? All her people that have to cater her posse. She thinks everybody has that. Right. If you don't know people's eating history, okay? Jesus, Josh, please don't comment on their body. All right?
I'm sorry, I forgot my food diary.
Yeah.
I forgot.
I need you to update me on that one, dude. I'm going to need an update on Josh as quick as possible, okay? So I can be here in Demi's world, according to her utopia. I can be following the rules. She goes on to say, because even if your intentions are pure, it might leave that person awake at 2 a.m. overthinking that statement.
I'm gonna say Demi Lovato needs some new friends that aren't focused on what her weight is, because look, I've never had that problem where I've said like I've ever mentioned anybody's weight. I know a lot of people and their weight has never come into this because I'm actually talking to a person, not a bag of meat. You know what I mean? I'm talking to a human, not just I've never thought of mentioning someone's weight ever. So she needs some new freaking friends. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Or you know what? Rather yet, she should lose more money so she can actually have real world problems. Right?
That's true.
And not have those privilege problems that I've always talked about that these mother effer influencers have. They are so privileged. They are so disconnected that's what wakes her up at night. Oh my God. She said, He said I was a little chubby. I'm going to be awake until 2 a.m. Really? Most Americans, Demi Lovato, if they are awake that late, it's either because they're working or because they're worried about how they're going to put food on the table. Not because someone called them chubby. Not because someone said, oh my God, hey, you look great. Did you lose some weight? Triggering. In this next screenshot, she adds, does it feel great? Yeah, sometimes, but only to the loud ass eating disorder voice inside my head that says, see, people like a thinner you, or you eat less. If you eat less, you'll lose even more weight. Never had that voice. You?
Well, first of all, yeah, I think like you said, JT, is like, yeah, I'd talk to someone about that. That's not normal.
Yeah. Quick.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you eat less, you'll lose even more weight. That is 100% factually correct. It is only the context that you give it which triggers you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. How is she a celebrity or a so-called influencer when she now can take compliments? Not only is she forcing her pronouns upon us, because I can also play that game, by the way, with people that are using the BS pronoun logic. I'll use it against you too, right? You're forcing that upon me, right? You're forcing your pronouns upon me. And now if I happen to use the wrong pronoun, I might lose my job, right? So your world revolves. That's right. Your world. I need to revolve around your world. We can't live in a common world where we have things and names for things and people, right? It's no different than years ago, right? When people used to get all pissed off because, they had like, oh, I'm John with an H. There's literally, I know they're not very common, right? But people have made jokes about like, oh, this guy, he's Mark with with a K or Mark with a C. It's like, make sure you don't call him Mark with a K. It's like, okay, Mark with a C. It's like, okay, I mean, fuck, man, I guess. Now it's like, now they're taking it a step further and it's like, don't call me she or I'm going to cancel you. I'm a they, okay? You're a they. That's not enough. Don't compliment me because it might trigger me. I know there's bigger problems around the world. There are more real problems for real people, right? Who I influence, but I don't really give a shit about. I don't want you to compliment me because you're going to keep me awake into 2 a.m. I mean, how disgusting is it? Enough is enough, man. That's why I've said for the longest time on the show, right? I don't ever want to be a effing or be called an effing influencer. I hate it. I hate influencers, right? Because there has yet to be a solid influencer that comes across. Some people might say that's Gary Vaynerchuk. Maybe. But yet to come across as someone that really knows the everyday Joe problems, right? Maybe they knew at one point. There's going to be people out there that have made it from rags to riches, right? Maybe people like 50 Cent, for instance, right? Comes to mind. You always used to live in the hood. Maybe 50 Cent, okay? But you don't know shit about Queens, Jamaica anymore because you know where you live? Probably in like a rich neighborhood of New York, LA, Florida, one of your 12 houses, right? So what the hell do you know? You knew, right? For those of you guys that are about to like defend your influencers, they knew what it was. But 20 years go by and there's a few million in their pocket. Trust me, they don't know anymore. They think that what keeps us awake at night is that somebody totally said that you look a little chubby. Disgusting, dude.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
But that's America.
No, that particularly how problems have changed, in that amount of time. Like you said, like problems from 20 years ago are definitely a lot different from problems in 2021,
Yeah. But you know what? We still need strong men and women, right? In the military. We need strong men and women, right? They're not going to sign up because they saw a Disney ad. They're going to sign up for the actual good reasons, right? That they should be signing up for something like that, right? Or they're not going to be triggered because someone said they look good in a dress or look good in those shoes or look good in that blouse or whatever, right? That can take a compliment. It's no different. We'll talk about it maybe in another episode. But when you have had people, the feminazis that have been caught on video screaming at people because they opened the door for them. I can do it myself. Oh, Jesus. I mean, okay. Chivalry is dead, I guess. I suppose. Right? Now, of course, nothing is an absolute when it comes to one person speaking for an entire generation. I know that. Right? One feminazi doesn't speak for all women. I know that. But unfortunately, the squeaky wheel, as I said before, what? Gets the oil.
Gets the grease.
Gets the goose. Yep. There you go. All that, right? Gets, they get the attention. And unfortunately, those people are making it harder. They are genuinely making it harder, for a lot of things, I think, to continue progressing. But, I'll leave it there. I'll leave it there for today. That was our last story. That's the last segment. That's I think that's good, right? We're good.
Yeah, I think that's it. Let's leave it there.
Fair enough. All right, guys, that's it for today. Again, if you guys don't mind liking, subscribing, leaving a comment down below, and until next time, see ya.